Welcome to episode 11 of Garrett's Football Show. You guys already know I'm your host, Garrett Sims. Today I have another new guest here with me. It's been about 3 or 4 weeks since I've gotten a new guest. We've been recycling a couple. I've been on myself a few weeks, so I'm happy about this. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey, I'm Nick.
All right. Nick is a Steelers fan. So, again, another new thing for Garrett's Football Show. I've only had one other Steelers fan. I've had 7 guests, 11 episodes, only one Steelers fan. So, it's happy that I have someone here this week that is going to just be able to be happy with me about the Steelers and not put my hopes down for what we can do this season. Do you have any other teams that you like, or are you just mainly Steelers?
I mean, I like the Colts, just being from Indy, but it's first and foremost Steelers. So
same exact way. So the show's gonna flow nice this week. I looked at my picks from last week. I did really good. I called a couple huge upsets. I called that Vikings upset, which is the game of the week. I mean, the game of the week and game of the year so far, for sure, in my opinion. We'll get to that. How you feel about that? I think I called the Cardinals beating the Rams, and I definitely didn't call the Commanders beating the Eagles, but that was another big game. We're going to be talking about that later, too. But first, we are going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. Get straight into it. All week, everyone was talking about how terrible it was that we hired Jeff Saturday. Last week on this show, we talked about the Colts potentially tanking quietly for the rest of the season. Oh, and before I get on, I'm going to go on a little spiel. If I say anything that's like crazy or you have to interject, you can be like, whoa.
Got it.
Yeah, you can definitely interrupt.
Yep.
But everyone was talking. I can't think, except for Pat McAfee, I can't think of anyone that was like positively speaking on the fact that the Colts got Jeff Saturday on ESPN, Fox, First Take, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to watch. Everybody was saying that Jeff Saturday was a travesty. And then we went out and we beat the Raiders. His first game ever. Jeff Saturday is 1-0. He has the best winning percentage of any coach in the NFL coaching right now, even though it's one game. And one thing I will say about that game is we scored on the first drive, and from the first snap, we had a lot of energy. And on this show, that's something that I've been saying all year. Like, what's the problem with the Colts? Like, why are the Colts sucking? And it's been a lot of reasons, but one of the big ones is that it looks like we don't have, like, a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
I don't know. My dog's up there going crazy right now, I guess. But we don't have a sense of urgency, and it doesn't seem like we're playing with, like, a lot of emotion. And a few people, Aaron, Camby, said that's because of bad coaching.
It's underwhelming for sure, and coaching, I mean, Frank Reich, it's all right, but Saturday definitely seems like they wanted to play for him, They were like, we want to play for this guy. And I think getting Matt Ryan back was huge, too, because I mentioned this to you before the show started. That's their guy. They went out and got him, signed him. He is their guy. And I don't think they want to play for Ellinger, a 6th-round pick, which, unless you're Tom Brady, 6th round, you're not really going to get them to where they want to be.
So just to get your feel of the Colts just a little bit for the season. So first off, did you we had to take Matt Ryan out because he got hurt for a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. But why he got hurt, it was also Frank Reich also named Sam Ellinger the starter indefinitely, I think. What did you think about that decision? Do you think we should have went away from Matt Ryan at all? Do you think that was a bad decision?
I mean, obviously with the win, I think it was a nice little reset for them.
Yeah.
Let's take Matt Ryan out. Let's put him in. He played with some heart,
Yeah.
Got to give credit where credit's due. But definitely Matt Ryan, he gets the guys to where they want to be at. That's for sure.
Okay.
Irsay, I don't know why he named him starter indefinitely. I don't get it. I don't get a lot of things that Irsay does, but it's not my team.
That brings me into another question then. So yeah, I mean, we're a week off of the Colts just doing a whole bunch of things. So I wasn't planning on asking you these questions, but I'm going to. So how do you feel about the Frank Reich fire? And how do you feel about the fact that would you agree that choice was 90% Jim Irsay and Frank Ballard, not Frank, but Chris Ballard didn't want that? Would you agree with that?
I think Irsay didn't want Reich. I think he wanted him out of there.
Yeah.
And definitely Reich being an offensive-minded coach with the offense being so lackluster this year.
Okay, yeah.
I think that is something that played into that, But definitely the offensive line played bad Saturday. Obviously, longtime Colts center. He definitely has some insight, even with basically no coaching experience. He still has something. School. Yeah, high school, which it's whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, just having that NFL experience, especially with Peyton Manning under center on a Colts team back then, that was really good. I think that brings a different type of experience to the players.
Yeah.
So, that's what that is.
You think it was time for Frank Reich to go, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. I think, they had to shake something up, and Frank Reich had to fall on the sword on that one.
I guess I agree with that. Again, I already said that all year we've been, on the show, I've been talking about, what's the reason for the Colts? And I guess at first I was saying Matt Ryan because he was fumbling every single game. He was good for an interception every single game.
He didn't have too great a protection early on either.
And that's,
So, Matt Ryan, obviously Ellinger was the more mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan's 37. He had that 39-yard run. But,
you're not going to get that every game. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So,
it's kind of like
it's a little bit of both, I think, with Matt Ryan and the offensive line. But offensive line improves, then that quarterback has more ability to kind of make plays happen.
And I guess the thinking about coming from Matt Ryan is if I'm trying to be logical, because another thing that all my friends tell me is it's like everyone who watches the show or talks about me when I debate, they say I do a lot of ifs and I put a lot of emotion in. So I'm working on trying to come about my debates logically. So I guess being logical, what can you expect from Matt Ryan, who's 37 years old, when he has no time in the pocket and he can't throw? Because he's a pocket passer. He's never been a runner.
Yeah.
So I guess that is So I say that to say you can't put it on Matt Ryan. Fair enough. You can put it on the offensive line. And then JT also hasn't been running that good this year, which is because, again, of the offensive line that he's running in front of. So I guess in the offensive line, the reasons for that, they're the most paid offensive line in the league. Why they're playing so bad. That could be coaching. That could be, I don't know what that is. If you have a guess, you can say. But I guess now looking, and hindsight is everything. But I would say, I guess, probably Frank Reich did need to go. But I think Frank Reich is a good coach. That's why it's hard for me that we got rid of Frank Reich. Because I don't think he's a bad coach, and I think he had 5 quarterbacks in 5 years.
But you look at also Nick Sirianni, who left to go coach the Eagles, and he was offensive coordinator. So
Yeah.
It's like, look at the Eagles, what they're doing. You know, how much of that offensive play last year and just JT going off last year, being the number 1 fantasy player.
Yeah.
And all that, and having 1,800 yards, 20 touchdowns.
Yes.
And how much is to credit Sirianni for that instead of Reich?
I've never thought about that.
Because I guess away from the Colts a little bit, at the Steelers, because that's what I know best. Matt Canada he's been bad. He looked better this week, but he's been bad. But Big Ben, he didn't have a lot to work with, especially not being mobile last year. But the offensive play calling was bad.
Terrible. Horrible.
So if that's coming from your OC, it's kind of
it's,
I don't know.
You're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everybody that's involved in that, but it's also you got to have everybody on board,
I agree. So now, for whatever anyone thinks, Frank Reich is gone, and now we're at Jeff Saturday, and he's coached 1 game. So I said that I think the team had a good energy. The Raiders also really sucked. That was my first time watching an entire Raiders game all season. I don't know what do you think it is about the Raiders too? Because Davante Adams had I think 160 something crazy. What's his name? I can't think of his name. I want to say Kirk Cousins, but not Kirk Cousins because we were just having that conversation. But Derek Carr had 170 yards. The Raiders freaking suck. I'm not even gonna ask about the Raiders because who cares about the Raiders? But
at this point, yeah.
Unless you have if you have a reason why you think the Raiders suck, I would love to hear it because we love great takes on Garrett's football shows. So.
Again, I'm not too involved with the Raiders at all, but I think the Jon Gruden thing is.
You said that off.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing.
They're still reeling from that.
Yeah, he was the head coach. Obviously, he got fired or whatever. But that was his team he was building. And it wasn't like at the end of the season we're doing really bad. It was, oh no, like you're out of here.
Yeah.
So I think Josh McDaniels is working with a team that he didn't build, and you know, could just be a chemistry thing too.
So one of those things where it just takes time, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, they have a pretty good roster, you know. Didn't they get somebody on the defensive line too?
Yes, they did. I can't think of his name, but
Chandler Jones, I think.
I won't even say it is, but you could be right. But I know they did get someone.
Yeah, they got somebody else. And they have Max Crosby.
Yep.
You know, Darren Waller, Davante Adams. Like, they have good
and another wide receiver whose name is not coming to me right now. I almost want to, because it's on the tip of my tongue, so I almost kind of want to.
The only other one I know is like Hollins or something, but I don't think he's like a.
Yeah, but
he's not like a big name.
We can keep going. I guess. Well, I'm already at the Bucs score. Actually, my ass is gonna look. Maybe I'm thinking of a different team because it's not Foster. Nah, it's not. Never mind. But that win, we beat the Raiders just after his first win. Do you think that win? Can the Colts fans? I mean, you're a Colts fan too. Can we take any big stock in that? Was that just a win that we got against a bad team? It was an energy high where, you know, you get the coach in the middle of the week. Everyone's talking about your team. That's easy locker room talk. That's you every week, every morning you're coming in because coaches and you're saying they think we're weak. It's just easy for you to build your team, get a lot of energy. You go out, that rides you high going into Sunday, and we had one good game. Or do you think Jeff Saturday is like pushing some sort of button and he actually has a coaching talent that we don't know, and the Colts could catch a hot streak into the playoffs? Because we can still get there. Which one do you, and even if you're not ready to say it's one more or the other, what do you think it's leaning on? And if you don't want to say...
I have no idea, honestly. I think it's the NFL.
Anybody can win.
Anybody can win any game, you know. You got to take them how you get them.
Yeah.
You can't complain. You can't ride off those highs too long because next week you got the same exact battle.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, ride off the high a little bit for this, but then they got to realize, like, okay, it's a new week. Who are they playing? The Eagles?
Eagles.
Yeah.
Coming off a hard
And honestly, if I were the Colts, I'd rather them go in undefeated than coming off this divisional 100% loss in prime time.
I agree.
Because Eagles are a good team, you know. But
and they're gonna have their own high to go off of because they just had their first loss. Now they have their own locker room talk to get them ready.
Yeah, I mean, overall they looked good. They played well. They got the win. That's all you can ask for, and they just got to keep it rolling into this week.
Yeah, I'll say. I think I know I'm a Colts fan. I'm not trying to talk bad about the Colts. Usually I have like a strong Colts fan up here next to me, so whenever I say anything bad about the Colts, I'm getting heavy pushback. You probably won't push back too hard on this, but I think that win was I don't think you can get much from it. I need to see it personally, I need to see it 2 weeks in a row, and it's just it was such a crazy week that I feel like everything for the Colts in that week is just the fact that Jeff Saturday came in and won, I'll say is amazing. And
it's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think I like Jeff Saturday as a person. I think he's a good leader of men. I think he knows a lot about the game of football. And like you were saying, he played in front of Peyton Manning for however long, won a Super Bowl with him, one of the most cerebral quarterbacks in the history of the league. I know Jeff Saturday knows a lot about football, but I am not sure I'm ready to say Jeff Saturday is the coach for the Colts, and that we are going to turn our season around after one game beating the Raiders. So I'm going to say next week, this is what's going to tell me, I think, a lot. Even though it's only, even 2 games is still a small sample size. If we beat the Eagles, then I'm going to be in this next week jumping around this basement happy as hell. If it's a 10-point game, I'm going to be very impressed. If it's 10 or lower, I'll be very impressed, and I'd say the Colts had a good game. Because I think we'd have to play a really good game and have a good in all phases, defense, offense, offensive line specifically. All those will have to be good for us to be within a touchdown and a field goal of the Eagles. Before I go on, would you agree with that? Or
yeah, no, I agree with that.
So I think next week will tell a lot about Saturday. But also, like you said, coming off of playing the Eagles after their loss does kind of suck. It changes it for me, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot I could say about the Eagles, but I think we can save that for later.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna be talking about the Eagles. And then you said this. I'm just gonna tell you an argument. Like, this is an argument that just happened in the middle of like an episode with Camby. It turned into like a 30-minute argument, And something you said a little bit ago, like, kind of like sparked that for me. That conversation again. You said that any team can win any game.
I think I saw this argument a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm just going to ask you a question, and we're not going to get into a 30-minute argument because I'm not going to take the time away. But I'm just interested to hear because I think it's a good conversation personally. Do you think any team in the NFL, I mean, I guess you already said that.
So, we've seen it before, too.
Seeing like teams getting upset.
Every year we see that crazy upset, you know?
Yeah.
And they're professionals. They're the best at what they do.
Yeah.
And to think that, you know, Josh Allen and the Bills or Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs go out there and they win every game because they're the better team. Yeah, they're definitely the better team most of the time. But again, those guys, you know, they have one off day. The other team could be firing on all cylinders, and they're going to beat them. They are professionals, you know. This is what they get paid to do for a living. Like, you can't just discredit a team because they've won 2 games, you know?
This is fair. So, okay. And this is another if question. So, I'm going to ask it. So, for all the people out there that are watching my show that don't like if questions, I guess skip forward however many minutes because I'm about to ask an if question. If the Chiefs played the Panthers and the Colts played the Panthers, both of these teams played the Panthers 10 times. Mm-hmm. Do you think the odds of those teams winning the same amount of games are the same? Or do you think one team has a better chance of winning more games against the Panthers, the Colts, or the Chiefs?
Oh, obviously the Chiefs have a better chance out of 10 games of winning more than the Colts. You know, I'm not going to deny that. The Chiefs are a great football team. They are, in my opinion, the best in the NFL. And they have been for some time, and it looks like they're going to be for a while.
But I can feel the but.
There's really no but. That's just what it is. You know,
the
Colts, I mean, they could win all 10 of those games. The Colts could, so could the Chiefs. Chiefs could also win only 6, so could the Colts. And the Colts could win more, you know, but definitely if you want to look at it like probability-wise, the Chiefs are probably going to win more games against the Panthers out of 10 than the Colts will. That's just how it works, you know?
Yeah.
But to say that just because this team's better, they're going to win, I think is naive, you know, and you I don't know. Like, you just have too much faith in that team and too little faith in the other.
Fair. Do you bet a lot?
I dabble.
Fair. No,
sometimes here and there, if I want to, like, watch a Panthers-Saints game, I'm like, okay. Yeah, I kind of have to. I have no, like, vested interest in this game. Let me just bet on the over, money line, or spread or something.
All right. I love that conversation. I'm gonna let it go. Just to like look at the Colts because it's something I like to do on Garrett's Football Show a lot as we look forward on teams. So right here, I'm gonna put those on the screen for the show again. But right here, like we're looking at, can you see this? Mm-hmm. We have the playoff. If the playoffs started tomorrow or this week, what would it be? The Colts are sitting at 10th, which would be, and we're 1 game behind and being in the 7th spot. Mm-hmm. Can the Colts get in the playoffs? And here's our schedule, so you can see it because we're gonna obviously. I think we're 4, 5, and 1. We'll probably have to win 9 or 10 games to get in the playoffs at that wild card spot. This don't like break your mind over this. Like this is let's just do this quickly. But can the Colts pull off 5 or 6 more games here? We have Eagles, Steelers, Cowboys, bye, Vikings. You know. I'm gonna look at it too a little bit. If you have your answer, you can say. There may be a little bit of silence on Garrett's Football Show for a couple seconds. Bear with us.
I will say that's a tough stretch. Eagles, Steelers, Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Cowboys, Eagles mostly because those are pretty good football teams.
Yeah.
The Steelers, you know, we'll see how they play this next week against the Bengals, but they've beaten the Bengals once already. They coming off a pretty good week against the Saints. You know, I think they fixed a lot of things over that bye week.
I agree.
That's a toss-up for me. I don't know who's going to win that one, but it's prime time. I'm hoping it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
But then the bye week,
everything can change.
You know, let's hopefully they stay healthy, they stay focused, they can win. You know, at least 1 or 2 of those games going into the bye week. Coming out, Vikings, that's tough. Chargers, they have to beat. That if they don't beat them, I don't think they're going to make it in.
Yeah.
Simply because the Chargers are ahead of them right now.
Yeah.
You know, so but they're banged up. You know,
in the Chargers.
And again, it's the NFL. anything can happen.
Yeah.
It is the NFL, so.
Over, under, I know you said you dabble in betting. I'll say I think it is literally 51 to 49% us getting to the playoffs. It's so close to 50-50 that I hate, like, because on my show, I feel like I always have to draw my nuts in my hand and, like, pick a side. I'm going to go, we'll make the playoffs. It's 51%. One of my teams have to make the playoffs this year. 51%. Over, under 50. Over, under, or do you not even want to call it right now?
I think right now it's under 50% that they do make it.
Oh, yeah.
But
I can't argue with that.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. We got to see Saturday coach some more games. We got to see how they play with that.
It's two in limbo.
Yeah, so we got to give it maybe another week or two before that playoff picture becomes a little clearer for the Colts.
All right, that's all I have for the Colts. You have anything else you want to say about the Colts?
Nah, not at the moment, no.
Probably the most. Both of my teams won this weekend, and the last time, if you guys noticed, the last time both my teams won, I came in here a little too happy, and then the next week, both of my teams proceeded to lose. Mm-hmm. So if you guys noticed, anyone who's been watching week to week, I've been a little bit more calm, cool, and collected. But don't think that's me not realizing both my teams won. It was exciting, but I can't lie. I don't know if maybe it's because I'm more of a Steelers fan like you, or maybe because I don't know. It's probably because I'm more a Steelers fan. But seeing the Steelers win made me way more happy than seeing the Colts win. Seeing TJ Watt back made me so happy. I mean, I feel like he's the life of our team. He's the life of our defense. He's involved in almost every defensive play. Even the plays where somebody else gets a sack, it's because TJ was getting double teamed and someone had it easy. I just love TJ Watt. Pause. I mean, I was watching TJ Watt play. I like the Steelers when they have good defense, and when I feel like we're winning because our defense is carrying us. I feel like that's like old Steelers football.
Oh yeah, it is definitely their brand of football is defense first.
And exactly, and I think when TJ Watt is playing, we are a completely different team. I said the first game of the season, and this is what I think is the Steelers' way to win this season, to win games this season. That may not be in the future because, well, I'll get into that, but I feel like for this season, for the team we have now, and I said this when we had Mitchell Trubisky as quarterback, and I'm going to ask you about that too just because I want to know. And I think the same now even with our Ricky Pickett at quarterback, who I think is right now even still talented than Trubisky. But no matter what, I feel like to win, we have to have good defensive play. Our defense needs to get 1 or 2 turnovers a game. And our offense has to just not make mistakes, keep the ball for a long time, and score 20 to 25 points. If that happens, I feel like we would be, if we did that every game, we'd have more wins. And I think if that happens for the rest of the season, we will have a good winning schedule. We'll have a winning schedule for the next 6 or 7
That's something I said literally the other day. I was like, if we can score at least 20 points a game, with TJ Watt back and healthy, we can win any game that we score at least 20 in.
I agree.
Saints offense wasn't much. I mean, Kamara is an absolute dog. But we limited him very well.
Yeah.
Even though they had Andy Dalton in at quarterback. But
and
our defense is good enough that if we can score, our offense can score 20 points or more, that we're going to be in all of those games. We're going to have a good chance to win any of those games.
Yeah.
So that's what it really comes down to. And back to what you said, just having that offense eat up the clock, got to get the run game going. Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren have this past week looked great as the 1-2 back.
They did. Who's the one and who's? Which is get into this.
Najee's the one, no doubt. Dude,
Are you? How do you feel about Najee? Do you trust? How do you feel about Najee?
I like Najee. He's been underwhelming this year, but I think a lot of that was back to an injury he had in camp that kind of lingered up until the bye week. But it sounds like now people are optimistic about him being 100% healthy.
Yeah.
So we have him healthy. He cut back on his snaps with Jaylen Warren.
Yeah.
Jaylen Warren has played with heart, dude. He's not great by any means, but he's a good ball player. Like, he can play.
I agree. This year, I like his, Najee seems unconfident. And he seems like he doesn't make a decision. And Aaron, one of my brother's friends that he's been on the show 2 times, he I kind of mentioned that is probably because Najee's injured, and when you play injured, you play kind of. I don't want to say scared because I don't think scared is the right word. But you're
not you.
Yeah,
He just wasn't him the first half of the season.
And that could be some of the thing with Najee. But it's like I see him like getting and he's like stutter stepping, like waiting for something. And the thing I like about Jaylen Warren is like he makes a decision and goes. Yeah. Whether he gets tackled fast, whether he's like a 3rd down and 1, 3rd down and 2. I want him before Najee because he's gonna go put his head down and get those yards.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but. Something I think about Najee that, call me crazy, I don't care, but like, his whole life, even at Alabama, up until Alabama, he was that guy. You know, he was by far the best player on the field. He always played with Alabama was so good when he was there. He played behind a great offensive line, just a great team in general. That like now it's like okay, everyone's on my level. I think that's a bit of an adjustment. That plays into it a little bit. I think his injury plays into it a little bit. And overall, just like the Steelers not having a great offensive plan plays into it too. So it's hard to pinpoint one exact problem with him.
Yeah.
But the more that offense kind of gets better, that play calling gets better, the more, and not the more he's healthy, but like when he is 100% healthy, that'll play into it. So I think it's just a little bit of a process with him that's new.
Yeah.
At least to him and how he's always played the game of football.
That's fair enough. Because, I mean, of course, I could see that with you. Your whole life, you're the best player in your state in high school. You're one of the best players and running backs in college. Like, that could definitely be a thing. So I'm hearing, because, like, last week, Aaron, as well, he said Najee's done. It sounds like you would disagree with that 100%. Najee's definitely.
I disagree with that. I think, give him a little bit more time. He's only in his second year.
And that's true.
He's only 24 years old. Running backs do take a beating.
I was going to say running back is if there's any position in the league where you burn out quick, sadly.
And I saw something on Twitter. I can't remember who said it, but it was like a credible source. Like a news reporter or sports reporter. They literally said Najee can't take as many snaps as he did last year. Yeah. That's why him and Warren are going to be splitting it more. It's probably still going to favor Najee a little bit.
Yeah.
But Warren's got to be able to go in there and make a play happen here and there. And I think Najee's kind of seeing that now, and he's agreeing with it. And he's real appreciative of what Warren's able to do.
Yeah.
And
I mean, of course, those 3rd and 1s, those 3rd and 2s, because I think we always find ourselves in 3rd down, usually 3rd and 5s and 3rd and 6s. But I guess it would be better for a back like Jaylen Warren because he's going to take more beating on those plays.
So 3rd down back, and I think they did promote him to that a few weeks ago.
I mean, yeah. I like to hear that because I like Najee a lot last year. You're right though. I think last year he had the most. He had the but he had the most touches per game.
Yeah, he had an insane amount of snap counts.
Yeah, snap count.
Snap count, touches, whatever. He was just on the field so much, way too much than what you should have your running back in at.
And that's fair because you're going to turn him into a freaking, I don't even know, piece of garbage when you do something. Yeah, that's how you break a running back in 4 or 5 years doing shit like that.
Exactly.
So I could see that. You talked about play calling a little bit just to get a feel of the Steelers right now, in your opinion. Do we fire Matt Canada next year? Or is that going too far? I'd say all week, not all week, but all year, every episode I've been saying, fire Matt Canada. Because he's just, it's like it would be 1st and 10. It's always 1st and 10, duh. But he'll call a run play to Najee. Najee would get 2 or 3 yards. All right. He'll run it right again to Najee. 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8. He'll get another 2 or 3 yards. Then we have 3rd down and 6, 3rd down and 4 at the best, 3rd down and 7. And now Kenny Pickett has to, of course he's going to throw.
And he would call plays throwing short of the line to gain, So it's But I think with Matt Canada, though, this week was an improvement for sure.
And that's what I was going to say.
I think everyone's saying what we're saying right now, Everyone's seeing it. They're very vocal about it. And I think that message is getting across to Mike Tomlin and the Steelers that, hey, Matt Canada's probably not the guy. Let's get somebody else. So they're trying to fix it. And last week was definitely a step in the right direction. I'm open to them just going the rest of the season with him, see if it improves. But after that, if it doesn't improve the rest of the season, we lose out, he's gone. He has to be,
And do you know how long has he been our offensive coordinator?
Since last year.
Yeah. And then did you see like there was a clip where like Tomlin and again just because Tomlin says this doesn't mean it's true, and Tomlin's the coach, he's not the GM and he's not the owner. Mm-hmm. But did you see like that video where Tomlin was like saying like we're not getting rid of Matt Canada?
Yeah, I think he probably did have a lot to say because he's one of the most longest tenured coaches in the league. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them.
They listen to him probably.
He's never had a losing season. I think he has the respect in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But obviously, we know the fans. They can be cutthroat.
That's yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so they're gonna call for his job if Steelers aren't winning games. That's how it works in Pittsburgh.
I mean, it's definitely how it works. And I mean, as a Pittsburgh, I mean, we're not a losing franchise. And even if you want to say as far as winning like Super Bowls, no matter what, we're a franchise where you don't expect to come and see a boring game.
You come to see your team win,
Facts. Steelers for sure. And it's not even more being a Steelers fan. So it's just Matt Canada. I don't like him. I kind of like the Colts. I said like it's like one game is like not enough, and I feel the same way about that. Like the same way of Jets Saturday is the same way, not the same way, but just in this specific sense. Matt Canada, that was the best game he's caught all year. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And we had some like. And I mean that in a couple different ways. Like he was calling some nice little trick plays, some like back and forths to Pickens. I don't know what the exact plays.
I think one play that really stood out to me was that Steven Sims screen pass.
Yeah.
I think it was phenomenally executed. A great play call.
And the timing of it was good. I think it was like a second down or something.
I can't remember the down exactly, but they had, it wasn't like a short situation. They didn't have like just 2 or 3 yards. It was a little more than that.
Yeah.
But like after seeing so many just jet sweeps with Chase Claypool that, every once in a while he'd have maybe like a 5 to 10 yard gain, but like mostly they were just stuffed.
Stupid.
But like seeing that gave me a little bit of confidence. Okay, that's an improvement right there, and they're executing too.
Yeah.
So
you got to be happy about that.
Yeah. One more thing too, you brought up Jeff Saturday. Something I do like about the Steelers, and they're stuck in their ways,
Yeah.
But they're not going to make a decision halfway through the season.
No.
The Colts, and I think, and this may be a hot take, but I think Jim Irsay.
We love hot take.
I think it's coming from Jim Irsay. He's got his hand in there too much. He's trying to control that team too much, and that's why he's making all these drastic calls with Ellinger, Saturday, Reich out. And the Rooneys and Tomlin are not going to do that.
No.
So I do like that.
More of a stable organization, stable ship, and someone calling the ship where we don't just do things at the tip of a hat. It's thought out in a process that goes down the chain of command. That's exactly. The Steelers.
Yep.
And shit, I don't hate to go back to the Colts because who cares? But Jim Irsay is not, I don't want to say fooling because he's the owner of the team. I guess it's his team.
Yeah,
but,
he can do what he wants.
But. Exactly. But Jim Irsay is doing a little too much right now in the day-to-day schemes of the Colts. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely.
And
you need an owner because, like, I had a friend talk about the Packers. They don't have, like, an owner. He's like, sometimes I wish we had an owner, a little bit more stability, a little bit more of a, hey, like, we should really do this. But, and a lot of owners don't, except for Jerry Jones, but, who cares about Jerry Jones? But like a lot of owners just don't have that involvement, and at least that you hear about in reports and stuff. Like, didn't he like go out on his own Twitter, his personal account?
Jerry Jones?
No, Irsay, and say like, oh, we fired Frank Reich, we're hiring him or Saturday.
Yeah,
and like the Ellinger stuff. like he's just
outside of Jerry.
I feel like Jones, he just has a lot of I feel like he has a lot of say in it.
Yes,
maybe he should step back and let Ballard do his thing.
And this is what I was thinking too, and I've had a week to think on it, so I think now I can maybe give my opinion on the show. But Aaron last week, like he's a big Colts fan, so he was like giving, like we talked about the Colts, like we're 30 minutes in now, and we've talked about Colts and the Steelers. We talked about the Colts for like 45 minutes last week, and one of the things he said is like Jim Irsay has won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2. Jim Irsay in the press conference when they first hired Jeff Saturday was like, I know how to build a football team. And I think I respect that Jim Irsay does know a lot about football.
He does. He definitely does.
But I don't know how much. I'm still in the middle of how much I think he knows about building a football team, like firing the coach and not the general manager, but the offensive coordinator.
If you want to look at like the past 5 years since Luck's retirement, they've had so many quarterbacks.
It's been complete dysfunction.
Yeah,
and you got to think. I'm even just saying this now, like just with how good Jim Irsay is. Like, I mean, we got fucking Peyton Manning. It's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I bet if I was the owner of the Colts, it would be a lot easier for me to own with Peyton Manning than it would be to any of the other quarterbacks that have been in the league since Peyton Manning got drafted.
Oh, yeah.
Now we don't have Peyton Manning. And Andrew Luck, I mean, I like Andrew Luck, and we fucked him up with the O-line. So when I say this, I'm not saying anything bad about Andrew Luck. But Andrew Luck kind of left us in the dust.
Yeah, he's the legend in the city. Everyone loves him, but like at the same time, it does hurt how he left.
It does.
Yeah, there's no running away from that, but wish him the best of luck.
I do, and I think we fucking completely tore his body apart, and then from that, his soul apart from not having any offensive line. But since that happened, I don't think there's any excuse for us to have 5 quarterbacks in 5 years, no type of consistency, and just like a steady ship, like we said about the Steelers.
Yeah. And
I think that is a little bit of Jim Irsay. Like, do you think the Colts would be better off if Jim Irsay just took a step back and was like, I'm gonna trust Chris Ballard and the people in my building?
I think you kind of have to as an owner. You know, that's why you hire those guys to kind of run that ship for you. You know.
And
he should have completely trusted Ballard and Reich at the time, and now Saturday he's got to trust them to do what's best for the team, make those calls, especially about personnel. You know.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason Irsay should be calling for Ellinger to start. That should be a head coach decision.
I agree.
You know, so I think like he's definitely got to take a step back from all that.
Now, and let me say this again: you're Jim Irsay. The question I'm about to ask you, I'm asking you if I'm talking to Jim Irsay right now. You're Jim Irsay. You have no one in the Colts facility that you trust. You think everybody is in it for themselves, or you just don't trust any. You don't trust your wide receiver coach, Reggie Wayne. You don't trust all the way down to the water person, all the way up to Chris Ballard, your GM. You trust no one. Do you do what Jim Irsay does, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to shake shit up? Or do you say, okay, I don't trust anyone, but we're in the middle of the season. I'm going to let the season go how it goes, and I'm going to figure it out at the end of the season. What would you say would be your decision? Considering that even if you're right to think this or wrong to think this, you trust no one in your organization right now. How do you, and you're in the middle of the season. Do you play how Jim Irsay plays it, or do you play it the more, I would say, stable way?
Right now, honestly, what I would do, I would tank. I would go for one of those QBs in the draft, and I would go clean house. You know, I would find the right GM. I'd find the right head coach, and then from there, I'm saying, hey, you guys, you build the team you want to build. You know, Go get one of those quarterbacks in the draft, get him, build around him. You know, and something Bill Cowher said not too long ago. He left a lot of the actual coaching to his position coaches, you know, and I think that's true for a lot of things in football, you know, from the owner to the GM to the head coach to the position coaches. You know, like you can't expect to run that big of a team by yourself. Yeah. You've got to kind of delegate. You really got to delegate, you know, who's going to do what. You know, you're in charge of this, and you got to trust those guys.
Yeah.
But if you start with the GM and the head coach, and you get the guys you want, and they're bought in, and they see your vision, and they want to go with that too, then you have to trust them to make the rest of those decisions for you.
Fair enough.
You know?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like I'm really interested in movies, but like as a director, they say all the time, like your job as the director is to make sure that everybody, the makeup artist, the cameraman, the light person, is making the same movie. Everyone knows what the idea of the movie is, and then from there, you can't be with everyone every single day. You kind of have to let shit shake out.
Because he can't go to the writers and say, I don't like this or that. And then he can't go to the lead actor and supporting actors and be like, I don't like how you guys are doing this. Let's switch it up. Or let's find somebody else for this job, actually.
Especially not from a day-to-day standpoint. You have people in those positions that you are like, okay, you know what I want the movie to be. Okay, I'm going to trust you to do this piece. And I feel like being an owner kind of is not the same thing, but in the same brand of things where, like you said, you put people in positions that you trust at the top.
Yep.
And it's like a trickle effect. But Jim Irsay's trying to literally be in each piece of that trickle effect.
Yeah, and he just can't be. That's just not what he's there for. And there's going to be times, like I'm sure the Rooneys and Big Ben have always had their conversations.
Yeah.
But that's with your franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
You should be able to trust him to go to the owner, the GM, or the head coach, or whoever it may be, and talk to them about what's going on because he's the guy.
Yeah.
But that's like a special case at that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think Jim Irsay, and I do, because when Aaron was, saying that, because he said, it was, a conspiracy theory. That was, the big thing around my episode last week is that, he said that Jim Irsay trusts no one, and that's why he's getting rid of everyone, because he wants people he can trust. And I feel like that's a fair statement, and he also said we were tanking. And you mentioned that we should tank. I think we should tank. This is something I'm glad I just thought of, but we do not look like a team that's trying to tank.
No,
they don't. And I think that's bad because of all the things that Aaron said last week that I definitely agree with. Is he said in the NFL, being average is terrible. When you're average, you don't get draft picks. When you're average, your team doesn't change.
If you get a draft pick from 10 to 20, you're not getting those top guys, and you're not already in a position to win. It's where do you go from there?
Exactly.
Unless you make a crazy trade or get a good free agent signing, or maybe those guys you drafted 2 or 3 years ago start breaking out, but that's just a lot of ifs.
Yeah, and what Aaron said is again, and this is where I'm going to say this, so we're going to end on the Colts, but this is what I think. This is what could be scary about the Colts potentially winning out or doing really good the rest of the season. He said that I just had it on the tip of my head, but I missed it. Okay, yeah, I got it. He said that we fired Frank Reich. Well, not we, but Jim Irsay fired Frank Reich. This was another conspiracy theory thing, but he was scared that Frank would figure it out in the middle of the season. And by figure it out, I mean start winning games. We'd be like we were last year, or where it's everybody's looking at 100 million different games. Okay, we need this team to lose and this team to win, and and then we're getting the playoffs. And then we get in the playoffs and lose in the first round, or we miss the playoffs by 1 game, and then we're just an average team with no draft picks. And then, where are we at? He was saying that Jim Irsay was scared of that outcome. And he was saying that we bring Jeff Saturday in, we quietly tank, we get one of those good quarterbacks. If that's the case, I like that idea. But I don't think that's the case. After watching that game, after seeing how Jeff Saturday was talking to the team, seeing Jeff Saturday in every interview I'd seen, he seems like a real straight-up guy who's honest. He doesn't seem media-trained at all, the type of person that's going to he just seems like he's going to tell it straight how it is. And I like Jeff Saturday for that. But that being said, I think Jeff Saturday and Jim Irsay are trying to win literally every single game they can. And I think... So first off, I'm going to say this. I don't think that I don't think we're trying to tank, but I think we should. And I think if Jeff Saturday fucks around and wins those games and we're a game away from the playoffs, or either way, however it shakes out, we get a terrible draft pick, I think we're hurting the Colts for the next 2 or 3 years. And you already said this, so I don't even need to ask, but I think we should tank. I think we should tank.
I think if you look at all the other teams in the league, obviously Brady, Rodgers, league of their own. Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer. But if you look at all the other teams, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow,
and the Dolphins over there.
Tua, yeah, Lamar Jackson. All these young quarterbacks are coming in. It's a new wave of quarterbacks. The Colts are missing that. They're missing out on that right now.
It's a quarterback league.
It's a quarterback league. It's an offensive league. They need to go get their guy for the future. And they need to do it sooner than later. Especially while they have JT right now. Their defense is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Once they get Leonard back and healthy, they're going to have a good team. And they need a quarterback. They need a guy that they can trust moving forward that, okay, he's our franchise quarterback.
I 100% agree. And the first episode of Garrett's Football Show, and I never really came back to this with any of my guests, and I don't know why. And I feel like this is a take that, it was a quiet take that I didn't really put much stock into, but I think as the season goes on, it's becoming more valid. I said, at what point do we just draft a quarterback and say we build him up and we go through that process again? And I think that point is now. And I think if we try to win at 4-5 with such a heavy AFC, we could be fucking up the potential for a very good draft. Because I don't watch a lot of college football. I don't know if you do. But all the people I talk to on this show or not, because I talk about football all the time, they all say this is a good draft class for quarterbacks.
Especially coming off from last year's. I mean,
yeah.
We'll see with Pickett, but Malik Willis has not looked good.
Exactly.
You know, like it wasn't a good
for the
quarterback
Titans.
draft. Yeah,
and it wasn't.
They have Tannehill right now, which he can get the job done. But they
compared
that's just how
to
the
last,
league is.
Yeah.
If you look at all the teams, they've always been a quarterback away. And they get their guy, and then he pans out, and they're good.
That's what you're always saying. It's quarterback. Even and we're about to literally get off the Colts and start getting into teams to talk about. There's so many teams right now, not so many, but like in the NFC, there's about 2 or 3 quarter teams where it's like, damn, if they had a different quarterback, they'd be a different team. And I think the Colts are. I think we can agree to agree. Mm-hmm. If the Colts do not tank, we are making it. It's hard every time as a fan of a team to say losing is the way to go.
That's what they did to get Luck, though. Traded away Manning to get Luck, and he put us in a bad spot.
Yes.
Which I think is why it hurts so bad and why they're probably not willing, because it's like
I think
built this team for Luck, and the team's here, and then Luck's out of here.
Yes, trust issues, like a girl that hurt, like that first girl that hurts you. It's like, shit, I don't want to do that again. Like, I really think Jim Irsay, because I think Jim Irsay's scared to get another quarterback.
Yeah,
I think
you can go on about what's wrong with Jim Irsay. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why every single week I say at least one time we can have a whole show about just that alone. Mm-hmm. And this week we could probably have a whole 46-minute episode about Irsay himself. But I think a good place to end on is I love the Colts to death. I think we should probably tank though.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Now moving on to teams to talk about for this week. In my opinion, this was the game of the year. It was Bills versus Vikings. And I think before coming into this game, and again, I'll just say if I say something crazy, because I feel like I'm probably about to say some maybe outlandish things. But before coming into this game, I didn't trust the Vikings at all. I didn't think the Kirk Cousins and the Vikings were a real team. And I was one of the people that were still saying the Bills are the best team in the AFC, one of the best teams in the league, and they will probably win the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen has had like 2 or 3 questionable games, and he's throwing interceptions at a high. He leads the league in interceptions
10
right
interceptions,
now. Yeah, and he's throwing them at the goal line in bad places. Now, all that being said, that game came down to the interception. It was a close-ass game. Josh Allen played a great game. He had, in the fourth quarter, got down to field goal range in like 14 seconds. But I will say, the biggest thing that I took out of that game, the Vikings won. I still think the Bills are a better team than the Vikings, and I'm still not convinced on the Vikings as being a scary team in the NFC. The biggest thing I took from that game is last week I said, if it comes down in the AFC to Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to win it because he has that Brady mentality in my head, and by that I mean Brady's going to find a way to win. You give Brady a way to win, it doesn't matter. I don't know how he does it. I don't even know how he does it. But he finds a way to win. And Patrick Mahomes, all I've seen for him for the most part is if you give him a chance to win, he's going to win one way or another. And even more in the big games, in the playoff games, in the AFC Championship games. And the thing about Josh Allen, I love him. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. He is a great runner. He runs people over. He's a dog. His arm is great. But I think like in big games, like he doesn't find a way to win. And that's in the NFL, like it's about Super Bowls. It's about wins and losses.
I think this last week against the Vikings was a perfect example of he forced it,
yes,
and it came back to bite him in the ass. That 4th and 2, where he threw that pick,
yes,
in the red zone.
Yeah.
You're up 10 points. Take the field goal. Go up 13. Yeah, it's still a 2-possession game. You're not up by 3 possessions, but you take the points. You take the points in the situation, and he tried to force it, or he could have just thrown it away.
Yeah.
But like even then, a turnover on downs, or as it was the interception, that gives the Vikings momentum. Mm-hmm. And they're a good team.
They are.
What are they, 8-1 now?
8-1.
Yeah, like they're a good team. You don't want to give a team like that momentum because, especially with Justin Jefferson, I think he's the best receiver in the league.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think he proved it on Sunday. Mm-hmm. No question.
He's automatic.
Was that better than the Odell catch? I don't know if it is. I don't think it was. But it was close.
He snagged that. he literally like mossed him one-handed. Or he should have gotten mossed, but he just grabbed that one-handed, came back strong.
I know.
It wasn't like, he got it away from him and it fell on him.
Angle.
He grabbed that one hand and he brought
palmed
it
it.
in.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It wasn't like a lucky.
Remember
Remember that one Super Bowl Patriots Seahawks where they threw it on the goal line?
Mm-hmm.
That play right before that to get them in that position, how like it got tipped and then it like fell onto his chest.
I don't remember that play, but it was like a
yeah, it like put them in a position to like be able to score there.
Yeah.
And like the pass got tipped and then like the ball like fell on the receiver's chest on the ground and he caught it.
That's luck.
It wasn't that, dude. He grabbed that and he took it away from him one-handed. Like, you just don't do that.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson, I agree. Best wide receiver in the league. And, again, you were saying that's not the type of team where you give those chances to, and I agree with that as well. I mean, Josh Allen – well, let's just talk about the Bills. Let's just talk about Josh Allen. What do you give their chances to win the AFC at this moment? And they were one in the AFC a couple weeks ago. They completely sold that, and now they're fourth. Now they're sixth. Shit. One in the AFC gave them the AFC was going through Buffalo, and the AFC Championship was going to happen. If it was going to be Bills and Chiefs, it would happen in Buffalo. The Bills beating the Chiefs was such a big thing because everyone was thinking that was going to be the tiebreaker. Now the Bills have had a rough 3 weeks, and they're down at 6. Are the Bills a Super Bowl team?
I think so. I think they're the most complete team in the league. But you need Josh Allen to not make those throws late in the game.
Yeah.
You know, and then I think it's also on McDermott or whoever had that play call on 4th and 2. I'm assuming it came from Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Just take the points.
Yeah.
Go up instead of being up 10. Go up 13 instead of just giving them the ball. You know, so I think get stuff like that down. Don't make stupid decisions, and then for the coach and for Josh Allen.
And so you're not. So I'd say these like rough 3 games with the Bills, you're not really nervous about. You're not nervous about that. You think. Well, let me not speak for you. You're not nervous.
I mean, I think. Who are their other 2 losses? The Jets and the Dolphins.
I'll go look at it really quick. Dolphins. Yeah, you're right. It's the Jets and the Dolphins. It's the Jets and the Dolphins.
You're losing to divisional opponents, which is it's going to happen, because divisional games, that's just how they go. They're always a toss-up. But, I mean, they're ahead of them in the playoff race right now, so that's a scary thought. And then you lost to the Vikings, who are number 2. If you're a Bills fan, you got to be a little bit scared that, okay, maybe we're not as good as we thought, especially with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
And, they beat the Ravens, but, even the Ravens. It's just...
The AFC's stacked. They're stacked.
Stacked. And the Bills... I guess I'll say this. The first episode of this season, and really, the first 4 episodes, I was singing the Bills' praises as, they're the best team in the league. Not by far, but, kind of by far. And I think each week, they're, making me walk that back. And I guess all I'm saying is right now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills were representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, but it shouldn't be the Bills. And a couple weeks ago, and I don't know if maybe those is one of those if statements that are you can't call it, but I'd say at this moment going into Week 11, the Bills should not be, and if the playoffs started, the Bills should not be representing the NFC. And they probably, questionably, probably shouldn't be in the AFC Championship because I'm saying right now the Dolphins are better as a team. All 3 phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. The Chiefs, the Dolphins, and that's it. The Chiefs and the Dolphins are better than them. And the Ravens, the way the Ravens play football, which is a running brand, which is I'm just gonna say just running. I think in playoff football when it's cold, I think they could get the Bills too because the Bills find a way to lose close games. Are the Bills a top 3 team in the AFC? I said all that, I guess, to ask you that.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
I think so, yeah. I think just looking at their roster and who they have on their team, it's obvious that they're very good. But, it's going to be a tight AFC race.
They got to figure it out.
And, yeah, they just have to figure it out. But they've already beat, again, the Ravens, as you said, and the Chiefs. So it's they can compete with whoever.
Exactly.
But at this point, being such a tight race, you have to be on your A game every week. And
I'm looking at the Ravens. I want to look at the Bills. I want to see what their schedule is because I think it's important for the Bills at least to come in second in the division. And I think they will. I don't think the Jets are going to end up being better than the...
No, Zach Wilson, I don't know about him, honestly.
I don't either. That's kind of weird.
They played well, so credit where credit's due. But the Jets, I could see them falling out of the playoff race.
Later. I can see them falling out the playoff race altogether, and I definitely don't see them staying ahead of the Bills and they are right now.
Yeah.
The Bills, next week they have the Browns.
I think they'll win that one.
Then they have the Lions. I think they'll win that one.
Yep.
Then they have a divisional game against the Patriots, a divisional game against the Jets, and a divisional game against the Dolphins. I'm seeing this for the first time. That is disgusting. That could ruin the Bills' season. I'll let you look at that. I haven't seen that. That could ruin the Bills' season. I'm saying right now, you can look at that, and I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm about to make a big statement right here on Garrett's Football Show. They're going to beat the Browns. They're going to beat the Lions. Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, if they do not come out of that 2-1, the Dolphins, the Bills are, I'm not going to make a crazy statement, but just look at how I'm acting right now. I'm rubbing my face. I'm slouched over. If the Bills do not win two of those 3 games, their season is a disappointment. I guess. I guess that's the big take from this is they have 3 divisional games in a row, and they've lost 2 divisional games. You do not win 2 of those, your season is a failure for a team that is that good on paper.
Yeah, I mean, divisional games are just weighted so heavily given that the winner of the division goes on to the playoffs automatically.
Yes.
You could be in the weakest division in
and
all
I think
football.
you get a home playoff game if you win your division. I'm not sure about that.
You do.
Exactly.
You do.
So
unless you're the 1 seed and you get that bye.
The bye.
But, yeah, you do get home field advantage because you're either 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
So, you have to win you don't have to win in your division, but you have to win divisional games if you want to make the playoffs and if you want to do well in the playoffs, especially in a division that is that good right now. You're probably going to see one of those guys at some time in the playoffs. Yeah.
That's Patriots, Jets, Dolphins. That's a tough 3 games.
Yeah.
All I'm going to say to end with that is the Bills need to figure that out. Shit, we're at 56 minutes. It's going to be a long episode. Vikings, I'll say this about the Vikings. How convinced are you at the Vikings? I think they would probably be second right now.
Yep.
They're second. I don't think they're their second best team in the NFC. I don't think they have a shit's chance of winning the Super Bowl.
Who's better than them aside from the Eagles?
I'm trusting the Buccaneers. I'm trusting the 49ers. And the Cowboys, I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm not even going to say the Cowboys. I'm trusting the Buccaneers.
But for sure, the Niners and the Bucs. I can see that.
In the playoffs especially.
Bucs have kind of stepped it up the last 2 weeks.
Since that divorce.
Don't they have all their receivers back now?
Godwin's back. What's his name?
Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans.
Yeah.
And Julio.
Yep. So they're
back.
Bucs could. We'll see how the season plays out, but they could be pretty good, pretty up there in the NFC. Niners, I think they have a very dynamic offense. I think they have a lot of weapons they can use, and that's scary.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised. But as I told you before we started recording, you don't go to Buffalo in November with a 17-point comeback against the Bills. That you got to be a pretty good team to do that.
Fair enough.
Again, they have the best wide receiver in Justin Jefferson.
No arguments there.
Dalvin Cook's good. Kirk Cousins plays good enough. He plays good enough.
Until he doesn't.
Exactly, and that's when it's prime time.
And that's what literally, you just took the words out of my mouth.
1 p.m. Kirk Cousins is a menace.
If the
he
Super
is a
Bowl,
force to be reckoned with. And then, you get him to prime time, and you don't know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're gonna get, and I feel like that's every playoff game.
I think they're a pretty well-rounded team, though.
They are.
Harrison Smith, honestly, I just want to mention him because I think he's a phenomenal football player.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in the league a while, and he has performed at such a high level for so long.
Yeah.
I think he needs some credit right now, dude. And I remember because last year when they played the Steelers, he had one of the game-winning plays against the Steelers. I'm like, that dude's a dog. And my roommate was a Packers fan, and he even told me, he's like, dude, don't be mad about that. He's so good.
He's a dog.
I'm like, okay, you've seen him play twice a year for your whole life.
Yeah, so you know.
Yeah, I'll take your word. He's a dog.
Type.
But they have good players. They're a good team.
Yeah. I mean, I said this too. If the Vikings are gonna fuck up because of Kirk Cousins, that's my belief.
I think so. I think that's a very safe thing to say. You know?
Yeah, it is safe.
Like, yeah.
I mean, but then again, this is what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
How much stock do you put in the Vikings being a real contender for the NFC Championship and then for the Super Bowl? And by stock, I mean over under 50%. You just throw a number out.
I think it's to win the NFC. I think it's a little over 50%. I think the Eagles definitely have them. I definitely think the 49ers could make a push late in the season. Bucs obviously could too. They have the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
But aside from that, the NFC is a little bit weaker than the AFC, so it's
a lot of it.
You kind of being 8-1, you know, it's sounding like they're going to have playoff advantage.
That's a
home
fact.
field playoff
That's
advantage, you know.
And now,
especially with the NFC North being a little bit weaker this year, like I think the Bears and the Lions have 3 wins, and then the Packers have 4 or 5.
Yeah, Packers.
You know, so they could clinch the division sooner than later and get that home field advantage, which is huge. You know,
especially for that first playoff game.
And if they get that and they stay at either the 1 or the 2 seed, you know they're gonna have a good shot at winning the AFC and going to the Super Bowl.
I'll say this. This is and I'll finish on the Vikings. My last thing that I think on the Vikings is they're getting to the playoff game, and it'll either be a close. It's either because, and you said this because I didn't know Kirk Cousins does have playoff history, so I don't think he's in the position where he'll get in the playoff and completely shit his pants.
He's a veteran.
Yeah,
you know?
he is a vet.
He knows what he's doing.
I think it'll probably be closer to like it's a close game and Kirk Cousins makes an interception that you're like, why the fuck did he just do that? Mm-hmm. That would be my fear of the Vikings.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say about the Vikings or the Bills?
I think T.J. Hawkinson is something we ought to mention. They traded for him. He's definitely one of the better tight ends.
I don't know who that is. Tight end?
Yeah,
Vikings?
He was with the Lions.
Okay.
They traded for him. I have him on one of my fantasy teams.
Yeah,
he was usually pretty good, around 10 points or so, like guaranteed, like 10 points. But he's had like 13, 11 points as a tight end, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
I think trading for him too is great.
Yeah.
Middle of the field, upfield, you know.
Yeah.
Deep threat. So that's something to keep in mind. But like they just traded for him, so we'll see how that kind of plays out. But it's a great move for them.
Oh, it can make the Vikings better.
Mm-hmm.
That helps the Vikings more.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say with the Vikings. I don't have anything with the Bills. Like I said, if the Bills, they have those 2 kind of easy, I guess the Browns, I won't call them easy, and I won't call the Lions easy, but they have those easier games because the Lions and Browns are both more so the Lions, but they're competitive in a lot of games. But they have those Browns Lions, but if they lose 2 of those 3 games in the division, their season is I'm just going to repeat that. Their season is a failure. At that moment, it would be like week 17, 18 at that point.
Yeah, they came into the season Super Bowl hopes. Like if we don't even make it to the Super Bowl, it's a disappointment. I think that's still true with the roster that they have.
That's where I want to end with the Bills. You cool with
Yeah. That's really all you got to say about it.
Yeah, I agree.
You know.
Moving on, teams to talk about. Bucs beat the Seahawks. I really don't want to say anything about the Seahawks. I'm not convinced either way with them. I'm not convinced because they lost that they're bad now, and I'm not convinced that they're really good. They're very high in the NFC. They'd be in the playoffs still. They'd have to be. I know. Yeah, they're third in the NFC. With this one, all I really want to talk about is the Bucs are catching stride. They're getting wide receivers back. Tom Brady's 2-0 since the divorce has been official. We're saying every week on the show, he looks angry at press conferences. He's throwing tablets. He's yelling at players. It's been 2 weeks. He's been happy. They're calling him wide receiver plays. I think Tom Brady, now that the divorce is final, I think he has some peace in his mind. And like when you get, I'm not even going to get into the divorce. I don't want to get into that. But I'm just going to say I don't think it's coincidence. Now that this has happened, I think that the Bucs are going to continue to get better. And right now at 4-5, the Bucs are the first in their division. That's how weak the NFC is. Like they're literally, I think they're 4-5, maybe 5-5, but I know for a fact they're first in their division.
And they've got the Panthers in there, and the Panthers are like the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Saints just lost to the Steelers, if that tells you anything, and they only scored 10 points in that game.
Yes.
And the Falcons are starting Marcus Mariota. Love Mariota. You know, he's a dog at Oregon, but
they're starting to regress. And Mariota and the Falcons are starting to regress.
And it hurts that Ridley was out for the season, even though they traded him away.
Yeah.
And Kyle Pitts has been super underwhelming. But
and I think we already talked about this, so I guess I don't even need. I'm just gonna ask again because it's in the part in the episode where I wanted to talk about the Bucs. How surprised. Super Bowl Sunday, you're sitting and you're watching a Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl. Would you be like, what the fuck happened? Or would you be like, I could see that? I guess that's my question.
I think if their season had gotten any worse and they snuck in at the 7 seed, I think I'd be a little surprised, but they're winning their division. You know, I'm not going to be too surprised if that does happen.
And the only thing about that's amazing to me is just considering how the season started for Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
I mean, he is the GOAT.
That's true.
You know, he is the greatest quarterback of all time. He's won 7 Super Bowls, been to a few more than that. You know, in that first year in Tampa Bay, he really proved that going to a whole new team. Even though that team was probably QB away, Jameis just wasn't getting it done for them. And
that was one.
They had Bruce Arians too, and he was a great coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone now though, so it's also like their failures. You know, does it fall on the coach? Does it fall on what Tom's going through? Does it fall on the injuries?
And wide receiver, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, like where does that fall on? But they're kind of bringing it all together now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a push in this last half of the season.
I wouldn't either. And I think that's kind of because like another thing I've been talking about a lot of the show is just who's going to have the better year as it goes on, because they both started bad between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. And I'm not surprised, I guess, because I said Tom Brady, but it just seems like it's setting up to be another Tom Brady year. Even after last week, I'm thinking that again.
Yeah, I don't think so though. I don't think it will happen.
I don't want it to happen.
It's possible.
I'm gonna be
it's
honest.
Possible.
And that's all I have to say about the Bucs. Do you have anything you want to say?
Not really. I mean, I will say this: definitely going to Germany. They put the GOAT in there.
Yeah.
You know,
on purpose. That was
Goodell probably went up to him and said, "You have to win this." They're like, "There's no other option. You're playing in Germany. We want." That's the first game they had in Germany. You know.
Yeah, ever.
So yeah, I think from like a league perspective, I think the Bucs had to win that one.
Yeah.
Just to kind of spread that fan base a little bit more.
League. I could see that. I could see that.
You know, I'm not saying that it was rigged at all, but I'm thinking they all knew what was kind of like on the line as far as getting more money into the NFL.
Could have been rigged.
Could have been.
Not to switch subjects, but I just saw this Netflix documentary that was about like refs rigging the league. I'm not gonna say anything about it. I'll probably say something to you after the show, but it was crazy. Have you seen it? Have you heard of it?
No.
It was about like a NBA ref that was like he wasn't.
Oh, I think I've heard about that. Yeah, he was like, yeah.
It's questionable. You can decide for yourself if he was rigging the games. I think he was rigging them bitches, but it was like a thing where it's like, is he kind of calling calls here and not calling? But I say all this to say that I think the NFL and NBA, I think they're both rigged. And you just saying that like first game in Germany, they had Tom Brady playing that game. I didn't even think about that, but that's like one of those digging deeper betting nuggets.
Did you see? I know Big Ben has a podcast. Somebody had asked him about the Jesse James catch. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, and he
I
was
saw the
like,
clip on Twitter.
Against the Patriots. Season was on the line for the 1 seed. You know, a lot of factors playing into that. A lot of reasons they would want Tom Brady and the Patriots to win.
And I think
the very next year they changed that rule too. You know.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I remember I was watching the Patriots. It was like Patriots Dolphins the very next year. Gronk had that same type of play to win the game where he caught the ball, turned, and then he crossed the plane for the end zone, and then he lost control of the ball. And they called it a touchdown because they had changed it from the Jesse James one the year before.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it could be, could not be. Maybe a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Until something more egregious happens, I think
it's hard to call.
Take it with a grain of salt.
But I'm gonna say I think to a certain extent the scales are definitely not even. They're tilted. But again, like you said, that's a whole nother conversation. Again, we're moving through teams to talk about. We talked for an hour almost about about Colts Steelers. So I mean, I'm rushing a little bit. But so if you have anything you want to say, we can definitely slow it down. But I'm gonna move. Eagles, Commanders. Eagles. Well, first, you have anything else you want to say?
No, just Eagles, Commanders. Really. I think
Eagles first lost.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but it's divisional game, prime time. You know, That stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the Eagles played a horrible game where it's like, oh, they looked bad, but I think the Commanders played better.
Yeah.
The Eagles made mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's how divisional games should go,
Yeah, exactly. You play 2 times a year, those teams a lot better.
And back again to that thing, it's the NFL. Anybody can beat anybody, especially in a divisional game like that.
I will say that's one of those games where it would lean more to you, and Cammy's also, he agrees. Like, you see, that would lean more to that. Any team can win any game.
Yeah.
A game like that kind of does.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think, anybody should come out and be like, oh, the Eagles frauds. Like, no, they're a good team. They're 8-1, You want
to know who they remind me of? And it's 2 teams I'm about to name. One of them is the Steelers. But you remember that Steelers, it was like 2 years ago. We were like 9, 10. I think we got to 11-0.
Yeah, 11-0.
I loved that, but I'm not going to lie. I don't know how you felt during that season, but I was like, I don't think we're going to win the Super Bowl. We didn't feel like it.
I was optimistic.
But,
yeah. I was like...
I was waiting for like the pin to drop.
Yeah.
And I remember a lot of the times with the Chiefs with Alex Smith.
Mm-hmm.
They would win so many games. I think they went like 8. I said this again. They went like 8-0 like one season.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember thinking, okay, but I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. And that's how I feel about this Eagles team. Like, I mean, they've already lost, but like during the stretch, I was just like, I don't think they're going to really do anything.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel? Like, are the Eagles actually a real contender for the Super Bowl, or are they just kind of like a showy team? They have 8 wins. That's cool. But when it gets down to it, they're not going to really make shit shake in the playoffs.
In a weak NFC, I think they've got the best shot out of the NFC teams to make the Super Bowl. And then getting there and actually being there, I don't know. Because I think the Chiefs are better. I think the Bills have a better team. They're not playing better, but they have a better team.
I think the Dolphins are better, personally.
I think the Dolphins have a very explosive offense. That's the thing, too. The Eagles' defense is really good.
It is. Their run defense is all right.
Yeah, it's all right. But, I mean, Javon Hargrave has been playing great.
Yeah. And they they just drafted a D lineman, too. Not drafted, but they just got a D lineman from the Bears, I think. But it doesn't matter.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we can just move on. But Eagles' defense is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Bradbury, Slay are really good.
Yeah.
Defensive backs, they've just got a pretty complete team. It's just in the NFC, I think they've got the best shot to make it out.
Yeah.
But again, those AFC teams are stacked.
Yeah.
The best I could hope for is making it to the Super Bowl. Hoping one of those teams has just used up all their luck.
Yeah.
Getting there. And I think that's their best chance. But I think an AFC team will probably walk away with it this year. But there's no telling.
But
that would be my guess.
But as far as like, you're confident in the Eagles. You think the Eagles are legit.
Oh yeah, AJ Brown. They traded for him. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
They still have Davante Smith. Garretts, a solid tight end.
Their
offensive line play.
But their offensive line is really good. Yeah, he just got put on.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, I just was reading about that. Honestly, when you were like on your way, I just saw that on Twitter.
Damn.
But I still think they're deep. They're deep. So I don't think that's
offensive line's good. Miles Sanders has had a great year.
I don't think
I've
that
had him in
makes too much
fantasy, and that's paid off.
Type shit. I don't think. I wonder who has him on my fantasy because I don't need a running back. I need a wide receiver.
I'll have to show you my fantasy team later. My dynasty league's pretty good.
I'll show you mine. We do fantasy usually, but an hour and 12 minutes in when it's this long, I'm probably not going to do fantasy this week.
That's fine.
But maybe. I mean, shit. Do you have anything you need to do? Do you mind talking about fantasy?
I don't mind.
All right, then we'll get to fantasy. We're going to talk about fantasy. Again, I say this. I swear, every week I say this. Like when I first was making this show, it was supposed to be 30 minutes, 30-minute episodes. like the sale of the show is like everything you need to know about NFL football in 30 minutes. There's not been a single episode under 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And I just roll with it because the conversations are always good.
There's a lot to say about the Colts and Steelers this week.
Yeah.
And there were some really good games. So.
And I mean, I've gone off of that. Like, obviously, anybody who watches Garrett's football show every week, they've got the same way that I've thrown out the window the 30-minute episode, they have too. Like, these episodes are going to be an hour plus every time.
Yeah.
But I think it's just funny. Like, it's so hard to try to wrap up NFL football in 30 minutes. When you're covering, like, even if I don't even think I could cover one team in 30 minutes with a guest, but I'm getting into different conversations. But we're talking about the Eagles. Eagles being a real contender. I don't think so. I'm not convinced yet. I'll say that would be one of my worst takes if the Eagles get to the Super Bowl and win. That would be one of my worst takes, but I just don't see it. It's just like,
Them winning, I don't know. Them getting there, they have a good chance to get there.
Yeah.
Winning, I don't know.
Facts. This is just a random question. You think Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl winning quarterback? And by Super Bowl winning, I mean in any time in his career. He has the talent.
I think with the team they have, I don't think it's unrealistic to say that, they could win a Super Bowl at some point. They won one with Nick Foles. Come on.
That's bad.
Yeah.
I sometimes forget about that.
Yeah, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl.
Fair enough. That's a good point.
Yeah, so...
This is like another random question. Well, actually, I'll get in because we're about to get into notable conversations. The last thing I got... Well, did I interrupt you with anything you were saying with the Eagles? You think Jalen... Okay, then my last question with the Eagles. Is Jalen Hurts even in the MVP discussions right now?
His team's 8-1. You know, he's no Patrick Mahomes. Let's get that straight. I think he's the front runner right now, but I think Hurts should be in that discussion. Maybe as like the third or fourth favorite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think with the way their team's playing, the way he's led them, I think he should be in that conversation right now. Until he absolutely gives us a reason, to say he shouldn't be. Yeah.
And last thing I'll say, because I saw this on like ESPN or something, and I thought it was kind of interesting, because I think the MVP, like the Heisman, is like a quarterback award usually. And I don't think that he is above Jalen Hurts. I'm just going to ask just to pick your head a little bit. Tyreek Hill over, and what he's done for the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill over Jalen Hurts, or no? I don't think so, but maybe.
I think that's fair to say.
I do too.
Because Tyreek's having a monster year. He's been invaluable to that team, And
he makes Tua look like a different quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. I think, he is so valuable to that team. He is their best player by far. Yeah. So I don't think that's crazy. And the Dolphins are playing well too, So they're, what are they, number 2 in the AFC? But they're leading their division, so
that's arguable, but
I think Tyreek Hill is fair to put in that conversation right now.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just make sure it's recording, but we're gonna just keep talking. Sometimes that happens too, but I would say it is. I knew it would be. There's nothing. There's not nothing, but I would say there's no other position player outside of quarterback that I would say is in MVP conversations other than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, you could always make this argument for a defensive player, but I don't see a defensive player this year. I think TJ Watt last year could have been in it. I think Aaron Donald most years could have been in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've got to be like generational talents on defense, really.
I agree, and it has to be it has to look cool, the thing about defense is it's one of those things, unless you really put your eyes on it, it's easy to miss defensive players doing great things.
It's so much off ball action,
Yeah. Things like Troy Polamalu jumping over the line as soon as it starts, shit like that looks cool. So it's easy to put an eye to that. Or it's unless you're one of those defensive players where you're just popping people, just laying people on their backs. If it's outside of that, it's harder to see when a certain defensive player is making a big difference.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's hard. This is just making another random quiet conversation, but it just made me think: has there ever been a defensive MVP?
I think Lawrence Taylor.
I was gonna say LT.
I think he might have been the only one.
Yeah, that was just a random question that just came to my head, but I would say he would probably be the only one. Now I have notable conversations written down. This is kind of new. I haven't done this yet, but I'm just gonna say them, and if you want to add any, you can. But just some notable conversations for the league right now. I think Justin Fields is emerging as a star, and this is a second week of just domination. 2 weeks in a row. I think he's had a 50 or 60-yard run, and I think that he's proven that he's a franchise QB. Again, like I said, if you want to stop me anytime, you can. I think Justin Fields is proving right now he's a franchise QB. Aaron Rodgers, another thing that's been big on this show, is why are the Packers so trash? I love, because I like to say I'm not a hater, but seeing the Packers lose, it's kind of nice because I have a lot of Packers friends, and they give me shit when the Steelers play bad. So it's nice to see the Packers play bad right now.
That's so funny because most of my friends that are Packers, it's mutual respect between the two teams.
I wish it was like that for me.
Yeah, I used to hate the Packers because that Super Bowl loss, but I mean, now I'm over that,
Yeah.
That was years ago, but
Facts.
Aaron Rodgers is a great player. They're a great team, a very respectable organization. So I
agree with all that, but I also think Aaron Rodgers' personality
That's another conversation.
It is. If you put that talent in a different personality, the Packers have more than one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Like, that's. I think he's not a good leader. I think he's like the type of person where it's like he lead. I just don't. I've never thought Aaron Rodgers is.
I feel like he's been pretty vocal about what he wants to see, and then
Yeah.
I feel like the Packers just never do what's best or what he wants them to do. Like trading away Davante Adams, or that year that they took Jordan Love in the first round when they really
that was
should have gotten.
fucked up.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
That was fucked up.
But they've never really done what he's wanted them to do to help them win. So it's kind of like.
And I've heard Packers say.
Yeah.
I've heard because that's what.
Yeah.
They don't give him the fucking opportunity to be great.
Yeah, exactly. Like Aaron
is
Rodgers
fair.
is like, hey, like, we're so close. This is what we need, and then we need a wide receiver. We need whatever, and they go get Jordan Love.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, oh, we have the best receiver in the league in Davante Adams. Trade him away. Like what are they doing?
Just to be objective, because we already talked about the 49ers and shit, so that's my note of conversation. I'm going to just X that out. Okay, actually, I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm not going to get the conversation we're on now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Packers probably haven't given Aaron Rodgers all the tools that he needs to win. Fair enough. But the Davante Adams thing, I think he's gone because of Aaron Rodgers.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because like last year, it was kind of it wasn't a question on even if he was going to even stay with the Packers and shit. Like
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Rodgers has hurt himself with that.
I think if he had said I'm staying with the Packers, I trust in the Packers and Davante, and he was talking to Davante Adams like, there's no question about what I'm doing. I'm with the Packers and I want you with me. I think Davante Adams probably would have stayed.
Those are like 2 top 10, 15 players in the league last year, especially. Like they've got to communicate with each other saying, hey, like we are the pieces that they need on this team. Let's make sure that we're building around us and we get that team that we need to win.
I agree 100%, and I think Aaron Rodgers is not the type to do that.
I don't either. Yeah,
and that's
he was very like vocal, but like not even like saying much about whether he's gonna stay or not. Like it was just very obvious like what he was kind of thinking and doing, but like it was also what I mean. Like
yes, it was weird.
Yeah, he was just being very weird about it. So
and that's like Aaron Rodgers. He's a weird. He's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I watched. I think all the shit he does. I think he's a weird moth.
I will say one thing. I want to say what you said about Justin Fields earlier. He's looking great. He's looking so good. And fantasy-wise, he's been phenomenal the past like 2 or 3 weeks.
I haven't even seen that really.
Yeah. But I think it comes down to the Bears. Do they build around him? Do they really commit to him, build around him, and let him flourish? Because they traded for Claypool. That's whatever. It's Chase Claypool.
Exactly. Yeah,
He says he's a number 1 receiver in the league.
He's not.
Crazy athlete, but he hasn't proven that yet.
Yeah.
He can make those tough catches, but because he's 6'4" and runs a 4.4.
Exactly. And because he's 6'4" and runs a 4.4, he should be way better than what he even is.
Yeah. I remember they called him Mapletron when they drafted him. Like,
no way.
He's got the build for it. He's a big body, deep threat, one-on-ones, but. And maybe the Steelers didn't use him right, but like he still hasn't produced anything with the Bears in the 2 weeks he's been with them.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, Fields, he runs too much.
Okay, and that's what I was gonna.
I don't think that's a bad thing, but if you want to win, you have to move the ball downfield. Like it's a 2-minute drill. You have to be able to do that. Throw the ball. That's how you get the most yards in the least amount of time. You can't rely on a 2-minute drill of him running the 75, 80 yards you need for that touchdown,
Yeah. You think Justin Fields with just like the running back combination that's just not running back but quarterback combination that's becoming bigger in this league? I mean, my opinion is Josh Allen is the best at it. The combination of being a running and throwing quarterback
I agree
in the
with
full
that.
package. But I think I say just to give an example, the Eagles built around Jalen Hurts' talents. Mm-hmm. The Ravens, in my opinion, have not.
Yeah.
If I think the Bears, whether or not they choose to build around Jalen Hurts, not Jalen Hurts, but Justin Fields' talents like Jalen Hurts, or if they choose, because I don't think he's as good as Lamar throwing the ball, and I don't think he's gonna progress like Lamar. I think he's more heavy running. But I think if the Bears don't build around him, it will change the way he's seen as a career quarterback. Because I guess I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's I think like Justin Fields, like you said, like he's really, really good, but he can't be good if he's not built around him. Like he needs wide receiver. He needs like he needs a wide receiver.
He needs a better offensive line too.
That too.
Yeah, there's a lot wrong with the Bears, and I think it starts with their receivers and their offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to see Justin Fields see his potential, they're going to have to focus on that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Bears have never been good with getting quarterbacks and developing quarterbacks.
This is true.
You know, so it's really hard to say what they're going to do and how that's going to play out. I think right now, Fields is looking really good right now. I think he's a good player. But it's much bigger than just one position and one guy. You know, you got to build a team.
And I agree. And something like I think last week, and this is like an example that I think I'm going to start liking with quarterbacks is like if you want to compare quarterbacks to plants, you know, like something like a cactus, you got to water like once a month.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need a lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
And with quarterbacks, it's like how NFL ready are you? How much love and growth do you need for you to become the quarterback that you need? And I think Justin Fields is one of those quarterbacks. He needs a lot of love, and a lot of watering, a lot of nutrients. And I think, like you said, the Bears aren't known for doing that. And I would just hate for the Bears to just fucking ruin Justin Fields. I don't even know where I'm going with this again, but it's just because he has potential to be good, but if you build around him. Yeah, and I don't know if the Bears would do that.
I think only time will tell
if
Justin Fields is going to pan out as, you know, a lot of people hope he does, but it's really hard to say, you know. But the Bears, given their track record with quarterbacks,
doesn't look good.
I don't think it looks good for Justin Fields right now, and I think they got to figure something out sooner than later.
Yeah.
And even then, a lot of what I've heard, I've seen Twitter, like Bears Twitter and stuff, and a lot of them are saying that they're going to build that defense up more than anything.
Damn.
Yeah, so like that you know, and that's just speculation from fans and whatnot. But if that is true, that hurts.
It does
a lot.
It does
for Justin Fields.
Shit.
So,
but I guess to end with the Justin Fields conversation, I think it's just about how the Bears treat his maturation as a quarterback in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah,
it's all because even this year, like last year to this year, he's grown so much. So I think it's just about things like that.
Yeah.
Just to get like your take on like the Lamar conversation, do you think that the Ravens have built around, because he's been in the league for what, 4 or 5 years now? They have not gotten him a real standard wide receiver one, I don't believe.
Who is this? I'm sorry.
Ravens. Lamar? Ravens and Lamar. I don't think they've gotten him a good, solid wide receiver one still. I don't think the Ravens.
They're a running team though, you know.
Yes, that's true. But
they can run the ball. J.K. Dobbins, he's injured, but he's proven that he can play in this league. Offensive line has always been great. Lamar is such a dual threat, and he's one of the most explosive players in the league. People love to watch him play. That's honestly a big reason why he won MVP.
Yeah.
But they do need receivers.
And the thing about Lamar is
Rashad Bateman, though, he's played well, but he's on IR. Mark Andrews.
Well, Mark Andrews, he's out. He's out. But Mark Andrews is solid. He's Lamar's guy. Every time it's like one of those like you need a big play, he's going to Mark Andrews, and you know that. But I just don't think they've got like even Hollywood. I don't think Bateman. I don't think any of these receivers are real like wide receiver like top notch ones.
No, they're no Hills. They're no Evans.
I don't think I don't even think of AJ Brown. I don't even think to name someone from India.
No,
Terry.
If they had Terry McLaurin and AJ Brown, they'd be so much better.
I agree, and that's why I feel like the Ravens piss me off, because I'm just like, you have a generational talent, and yeah, you do have a great offensive line. Yeah, you do have a good running game, but it's like
pretty good defense too.
Lamar can throw the ball, and the thing about Lamar that I love is every year I feel like he comes back and he throws the ball better. You got to get him a wide receiver. You can't really even say.
That's a team that's one piece away, and that is getting a good receiving core.
I agree with that 1,000%. That's just my thing with Lamar all the time, and that he finds a way to lose close games. That's been another big thing I say, but I want to, and I know as a Steelers fan this is disgusting to say, but I want to like the Ravens and Lamar. And I want to see them win a Super Bowl. Yeah. I do. And I think it's not going to happen unless they get him a wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have this over. I haven't asked, but we're almost done. Do you want this? Yeah, I didn't think so. But, yeah. That's all I have. Do you have any? That's all I have for teams to talk about. Notable conversations. Do you have any teams, players that you want to cover? Something you want to say?
Not really.
All right. Oh shit, we're at an hour and 30 minutes. Fantasy was gonna be quick. I'm just gonna ask you. You said you play fantasy. How many leagues are in? How many leagues are you in? How does your fantasy been going this year?
I'm in 2 leagues. One's a dynasty league, but they're both PPR.
Okay.
3-7 in one, 7-3 in the other.
Damn.
Yeah.
Who do you have in the 7-3 league?
I've got that's my dynasty league. I've got Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders, Travis Etienne. It's a 2 flex league too.
Okay.
TJ Hawkinson, Amon-Ra, Jacoby Myers, CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
And then that's really a lot of my guys. I had Rashad Bateman and he was good, but he's on IR.
Yeah.
Isaiah Likely, I drafted him. He's a rookie tight end for the Ravens. With Andrews out, he was great for me. And the 1 or 2 weeks I played him, yeah. But yeah, that team's going well. So it's a 12-man league.
Yeah. Damn.
So yeah, I'm excited about that one. My other league has honestly been shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Hurts. He's been a great fantasy option. He's consistently 20 to 25 points every week.
That's great.
Najee Harris been a little underwhelming,
I have Najee on mine too.
But honestly, he still produces some points. He produces enough to still contribute in a way. But
do you have him as a flex or your RB2? I know he's not your RB1.
He's my RB2. I have ETN.
Yeah.
And my other.
Yeah.
And then who else do I have on that team? Davante Adams has been great. Hit or miss sometimes. He had maybe 1 or 2 games under 5 points.
Yeah.
The rest are all
great.
They're damn near 30.
Tight.
Let's see. Juju Smith-Schuster. I drafted him with high hopes. That's coming true right now.
Yeah.
He's been carving out a big role in Kansas City.
Yes.
And such a high-powered offense too.
Exactly.
Hopefully he's all right with that concussion though.
Yeah, he got
popped.
That was kind of crazy. He got popped.
Terry McLaurin with Heineke back.
You have Terry?
Yeah, he's into my flex, but he's been playing a lot better with Heineke in.
I was gonna say that was in my thing with the Commanders is Terry Carson Wentz was doing him a crazy.
That was something that I saw. I was like, okay, if Carson Wentz is out and Heineke's back, I picked up Curtis Samuel because when Carson Wentz was in, Curtis Samuel was honestly getting a little bit more points at a fantasy. So I picked him up, and then I traded him away when I heard Heineke was coming back. So I'm like, I can trade away Terry or Curtis Samuel. He's going to go to Terry every time.
And he does.
And that's what he's doing now. So there's always that.
Facts. My fantasy, I'm 5-3, I think. I'm 5-4. I'm capping. I'm 5-4. I'm in 10 teams PPR, and I have Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has been asked for me this year, but Tom Brady's on a bye. I have Saquon.
He's been huge.
He's been
this
crazy.
Year.
He's really doing most of it for me. Michael Carter. I had Breece Hall. He got that season injury.
That's tough because he was playing well.
He was going crazy, and I literally got him. I didn't draft him. I literally made a trade for him. Mm-hmm. He got hurt a week later. I was so pissed. And I traded Alvin Kamara because Alvin Kamara's been playing so fucking lame. That's a trade. That's one of those trades
Kamara is. I feel like he's hit or miss.
He is,
but when he hits, he hits big.
And he's hit a couple big weeks since I traded him. And then I have Cortland Sutton, Amari Cooper, Pat Freiermuth.
I like Freiermuth. I think he's
like 10. He's good for, like you were saying with yours. He's good for 10, 11 every game.
Yeah.
Trubisky, I was seeing. I think went to him a lot more than Pickett has. But I think Pickett's starting to use him a little bit more.
I think when that kind of offense opens up a little bit, Freiermuth will, especially for the future, he's going to be a really good player to have on your fantasy team.
I think so too. And then Najee on the bench. That's about it. Oh, I have Michael Pittman and my flex season.
Pittman, not a bad option. I think
not a bad option.
The Colts can really string together a few good games.
He could
get something going. He's going to be a good fantasy option.
But I feel like what the thing about the Colts is he's not being used as much because we have Alec Pierce
Alec
Campbell.
Pierce, I'm happy with him, dude.
He's a great rookie.
He's playing well for a rookie, yeah.
Definitely. He's playing good for. Sometimes I think he's better than Pittman. I don't think he's better than Pittman, but sometimes he plays better than Pittman.
And that's going to happen sometimes. But from a rookie, too, that's something to...
It's big.
Something to be happy about right there.
1,000%. But, I guess, that's all I have with fantasy.
Yeah.
And You said where are you ranked in your league right now? I'm
third in the Dynasty 12-man league, and I think I'm ninth. If I win this week, I'm going to be 8th in that 10-man PPR league.
Yeah.
But if I don't, I'm going to stay right at 9th.
I'm 6-4. I'm tied for first. I'm tied for first in my division. And then, this is actually a really big week for me.
Yeah.
But shit, I'm thinking about fantasy. I've been seeing. This is my second year playing fantasy football.
I just got back in this year.
Yeah, I'm literally. It's like it's literally like managing a team. You gotta look at them every week.
I stayed away from fantasy for so long because I would never set my lineup. But now I'm like, you know what? I'm really in the NFL these past few years. I'm just gonna actually do it, and it's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun, but that's what I'm saying. You gotta set that lineup. You gotta look for players on the waiver wires. Like you really do have to be active. I'll say that. But I like fantasy a lot. I think I'm gonna play like forever. I do like fantasy.
It's so much fun.
But predictions.
Let's see.
All right, let's get into it. Week 11 predictions. It's Wednesday when we're recording this. Tomorrow, the Titans are at the Packers. I'm doing these live, by the way. I'm going to go Packers. But I feel that would be an upset.
I think I'd go with Packers if, they kind of carry that momentum from last week into it.
Yeah.
But if Derrick Henry and the Titans get that run game going, I'm going to go with Titans. But I think Packers for now.
Yeah, I'll go Packers, but that's one because I already put it down.
It's hard to go against Aaron Rodgers, honestly.
It is. But the Titans are like a weird team. They're just like a quiet team that does so good.
They're both weird teams this year.
Definitely.
So it's hard to say. I'm going to go with Packers on that.
Bears at Falcons. I'm going to go Bears.
I think Bears. Justin Fields got to keep that up.
Panthers at Ravens. Ravens just came up from bye week. I got Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens. Hopefully they get Andrews back.
Yeah. Browns at Bills. I got Bills.
Yeah, the Browns are a week away from Deshaun.
Commanders at Texans. I'm going to go
Commanders, yeah.
Eagles at Colts. With my teams, I always say my logical guess and I'm a fan of the Colts guess. But even with both of them, I'm going to go Eagles. It's just the wrong time.
Eagles. I think I said this earlier, too. I'd rather the Colts would have gone in against an undefeated Eagles team.
Yeah.
Instead of one that just came off a tough divisional loss.
Because now they're going to,
now the Eagles kind of have a chance to reset a little bit.
Exactly, and they're going to be ready to, have a big game, a comeback game.
Yeah.
Jets at Patriots is interesting. That's a divisional game.
I think Jets are coming off bye, right?
I think they are.
Patriots?
I think both. I know the Patriots. I think they may both be.
I'm going to go with Patriots.
I agree.
I think that's going to be kind of the knock the Jets get that are saying, okay, maybe we're not at the level as the other teams.
Our record says, yeah. I think I was going to call that too. I think that's an upset. I think that would be, I don't know if Vegas has that at. I don't have the lines up, but I think that would probably be an upset.
Yeah.
Rams at Saints. I mean, Cooper Kupp is hurt. The Rams do fucking suck, and the Saints just lost.
I think Saints, honestly. I don't know.
That's a
toss-up, but I'd go with Saints. That is a
toss-up. I don't mean to just copy you, but I'm going to go Saints too here. Lions at Jets.
Lions at Giants?
Yeah, Lions at Giants. I got Giants here.
Yeah.
I got Giants here.
I would take it up. I would take an upset with the Lions. I think the Giants are playing very well. And they just haven't been this good. Last year, I would have never guessed it would have been 7-2.
Fair enough.
I think the Lions have played some really good games, but not a lot has gone their way.
That's just one of those teams where
I think the Lions would find a way, but I can see you going either way.
Same. Raiders at Broncos, two poo-ass teams. I got Raiders here, honestly, weirdly enough.
I've got Raiders.
Yeah. Russell Wilson is such a cornball. This is another thing I've been asking just quickly. I'm not even going to either way you say, but the Seattle Seahawks getting us 2 Super Bowls, it's not a dynasty, but that little run they had, you think that's more of Russell Wilson, more of Pete Carroll on that defense, or just a good mixture of both in that perfect storm?
I think a lot of it went in. Russell Wilson played great. The Legion of Boom was insane. Pete Carroll's obviously a great coach. It's a team.
Yeah,
it's a team game. You can't put it on one person.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Chiefs at Chargers.
Chiefs.
Damn, them playing again is cool. But
That's
I got
prime
Chiefs.
time. I'm taking Chiefs.
I'm taking Chiefs as well. Cowboys at Vikings. Cowboys coming off a loss. Vikings coming off a crazy win. I'm gonna say this is the place for an upset.
I think I'm gonna stand in my with my Vikings.
Vikings?
Not my Vikings, but like with my take on them.
Yeah.
I think they're a good team. I think Cowboys usually lose games.
Yeah,
They
that's true.
probably should win, or
That's
they need
true.
to win. I'm gonna go with the Vikings on that.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if that happened. Bengals at Steelers. Again, I say this every week. Do I even need to say it? I got the Steelers.
I mean, I want to take the Steelers. I just don't know.
Yeah, I feel
It's
that.
hard for me to actually like say it out loud that the Bengals would win, but like
You can do what I do. You can say logical. You can make your logical bet, and then you can make your I'm a Steelers fan bet.
obviously the Steelers fan in me wants to say the Steelers. I think the most logical thing would be the Bengals, but I really could see it going for the Steelers.
I could too.
It's a little bit slimmer, but I could see it.
Yeah, I could too. I could also see it's getting blown out though, which sucks to say.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I got no Jamar Chase. I guess they are coming off the bye week, but I got Steelers.
Coming off the bye week, Steelers have to stop the run. They can't let Joe Mixon go off because he's coming off a huge game 2 weeks ago
Against the Panthers,
Yeah. Steelers offense looked better. TJ Watt's back. I think Steelers had a lot going for them, but so do the Bengals, aside from Jamar being out. So, honestly, I think it'll be a good game. I told people this earlier. This is either going to be the best game of the week by far or the worst game.
Tight. I like that
no
take.
in between, you know.
I like that take.
I get them why they flexed it, but they may come back to regret it because it could be just a great back and forth game.
And it's a division game. Like, you can never call. Do you know what the line is on that?
I want to say Bengals -6.5.
Okay, that's not actually too bad.
I went through them earlier, but real briefly. I can't remember all of them.
I don't know either. But, yeah, I'm going to go Steelers. And logical use says Bengals. Steelers fan says Steelers. So just fair enough. 49ers at Cardinals.
Niners.
Cardinals have a great backup. And is it Colt McCoy? Is that his name? I'm still going to go Niners, though.
Colt McCoy's been in the league a while. He's
for some reason, I want to put the Cardinals here. Like, if I'm going to say 49ers, but if the Cardinals win that game, for some reason, I won't be surprised. Maybe that's because the Cardinals are on Hard Knocks, and I'm always a little, like, friendly to the Hard Knocks team because it just gets me pumped. but
there's a reason they're on the Hard Knocks.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. I'd say 49ers, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But, shit, that's all I got. I'm not going to do any bets. I don't have any bets for this week. I haven't done bets in so long. Live on the show, at least. I don't have
I'm going to say this much. I think the under for the Steelers-Bengals.
Under?
I think it's a November game. It's going to be probably pretty cold.
Fair enough.
AFC North football. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Jamar's out. They have T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
And Joe Mixon, obviously. But I think it's just going to be a classic AFC North game. I wouldn't be surprised if the under hits.
That's actually a great bet.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is.
Also, the Bills game. Bills-Browns.
Bills-Browns.
They're going to have like 2 or 3 feet of snow.
Under.
That's
a good one.
Sure.
Those are two good ones.
Singletary, you can maybe look at his yards.
Shit,
yards.
I mean, I was gonna skip through bets, but you're giving some bets right now.
Yeah, I was gonna look through yards because I saw on Twitter because remember that Colts Bills game a few years ago where it was just a bunch of snow.
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah, I was watching those highlights and they were just running the ball at first. They had some passes, but it was mostly running.
Yeah.
Singletary had a pretty big game. At least that first drive or so, like early on in the game against the Vikings, he was running the ball very well.
Nah. Shit.
I think whoever controls the run game in that game is going to win, and I would take Singletary or Chubb actually.
Chubb, that's a good
one.
For running backs.
I think because
I feel like maybe Singletary, Chubb, anytime touchdown score, or that's I don't know.
I would say Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I would say Chubb definitely before Singletary.
I would say Nick Chubb anytime touchdown score because the Bills are still probably going to throw it at the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
Just knowing the Bills because they can do that.
Yeah.
But I would say Nick Chubb anytime touchdown score is not a bad one. Rushing yards for Nick Chubb, Singletary over.
Yeah.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, I could see it.
I don't know. I haven't seen the lines on those, but definitely the under in the game overall. I'd take that.
And the under for that Steelers game is also a good one.
Yeah. I think, and, I could be completely wrong about these, but that's just like my best.
I mean, every bet is like that. It's betting.
Yeah,
but those actually are good.
Yeah.
I actually like those.
Mm-hmm.
But, shit, that's all I have to say. Garrett's Football Show episode 11. You have anything you want to say?
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Bro, thanks for coming on. Definitely.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
That's a wrap.